off the bat, just get your initial reaction to the decision to cancel the fall season and go for a spring season.
Yeah, obviously a lot of leagues around the country had made similar decisions, and not that we were waiting after those decisions to be made. It just happened to be the timing was such that once we met this afternoon, there was a threshold that was in place that the NCAA had put in that said if over 50% of your members were not going to participate in the fall, that you would not have in this case, an FCS playoffs. And so it was, I think, a pretty, I won't say simple decision, but certainly a decision that made sense that the spring might give us a chance to not only have a conference schedule, but also playoffs as well.
UND knows as well as anyone what it's like to play without the opportunity even for a playoff. So, how important is that for you, as the leader for this university, for these student athletes, to always fight to make sure that that's an opportunity? Because this program in particular worked really hard to be able to be eligible for playoffs again.
Yeah, we met. The one thing that I appreciated what the Valley did is we went back and really we talked to all 11 schools, talked to their players yesterday, and to try to get some feedback and insight, and it was almost unanimous that when our student athletes are playing a season, they want it to be linked, if possible, to a playoff opportunity, and then of course for a national championship opportunity. So I think that the decision that was in front of us was the potential of a potential playoff in the spring versus not in the fall, and that seemed like a fairly easy decision in that regard, especially given the feeling of our student athletes around the conference.
Are you at all frustrated, or did you feel frustration from your athletes that the decisions have taken so long? The players came back, they were doing work, they were trying. Is there any feeling that the NCAA, the Valley, anybody should have made a decision sooner, or are you in particular, maybe asking you not to speak for everybody else, but pleased with maybe the time, the thought that went into it instead?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a balance. I think I think everyone was optimistic and hopeful that potentially, and I'll just say testing maybe would be in a maybe different situation that we're in right now, just nationally. I think the state of North Dakota is as good as anybody in the country, but there's many places in the country that results of tests of COVID tests don't come back in timely manner, and again to adhere to NCAA protocols, it would be almost impossible to do that if you can't turn around tests in time. And so I think we were all hopeful that maybe each day and each week things would get better, but there was a point in time where you had to make a decision, and obviously this was the week.
What do you say to the fans as they struggle with this? Because, like you said, it's not just about testing in North Dakota. They play teams from other places. You just can't play 8, 11 games, NDSU and UND, because testing works here. So, what do you say to the fans who are maybe frustrated with that, don't quite understand why, when things are not so bad in North Dakota, that this still doesn't work?
The only thing I could say, it's incredibly unique year we're in right now. I mean, the last time we were in a global pandemic was over 100 years ago, and we're just trying to work through a virus that does not have a vaccination to it right now. And unfortunately, the answers that sometimes we have, we're grappling for them ourselves, and so at times, the one thing that has been on our side to some level is time, and unfortunately at this point we kind of felt time ran out on us at this stage, but we're hoping that we can increase, I'll call it the hope meter, if you will, so that we could play a robust Valley Conference schedule in the spring, and again, knock on wood, hopefully an NCAA playoff run to follow.
Looking at realistically everything that needs to happen, how optimistic are you right now at a winter season?
I think the one thing I've learned in this calendar year is you go day by day and week by week. And so I tend to be an eternal optimist. So I'm always optimistic. And I think as long as, there's time, potentially maybe some things happen around us that will make that happen. I think that, in this country, if we can get to a better place with point of care testing and turnaround time, I think then the ability to play a winter season, then followed by, of course, a spring season, I think is much more realistic.
Hopefully, as it's kissing your sister, but losing football maybe will help wake some of that up and put some pressure on some people. But you have also the Summit League involved with your athletics. How are those conversations going? How optimistic are you that those seasons might work out? I've understood that soccer, volleyball, they've been exploring some different ideas, like playing multiple games in one weekend against the same team to try and get those games in.
Yeah, so we still have to meet with the Summit League and determine the situation moving forward. We've delayed the season at this stage of the game. We won't start until September 23rd at the earliest, and so that gives us a little bit more time. But I do think there's a time frame as well that if testing protocols, let's just say, cannot be met, we're going to have to be very realistic and figure out what might make sense for those sports too. So I think some of those conversations are upcoming, and we'll see what transpires. But I think in the next week or so, I'm sure we're going to be knee deep in those conversations.
Will you guys attempt to play non-conference games to schedule anything in the fall here with football?
I don't think so. I think we're going to shift our full attention onto the spring, 100% onto the spring at this point. I know some other institutions might make a different decision in that regard, but I think for us, we want to just focus in on the conference schedule that hopefully will come out. We'll have to work on that as far as when that's going to be, and that could set up at least a calendar for us, between now and when those first games may be in the spring.
For you as an athletic director, how disappointing is this? You had the tough role in the early March of informing and being there for your student athletes that lost out on their seasons, and now to have to go through it again. How disappointing is this to be in a second wave of it?
It's I guess disappointing is a great word. I feel for all of our student athletes for sure. They've been tremendous. Obviously, lots of this is uncontrolled for many of us, and they're positive and they've got awesome attitudes, but it is disappointing. Many times, as whether it's at the high school level or at the college level, you strive to get to, say, your senior year, or you have a special team that you're a part of, and certainly in the winter and the spring, and where things got taken away, and then we're kind of seeing that occur again in the fall. It is disappointing, and obviously we're hoping for a vaccine as soon as we can, but again, if we can get to a better place from a testing standpoint in the country, that'll make a big difference.